Now, one of the things that we will go into a lot more detail in the coming weeks is the unlock process, right? And I want you to kind of understand this as well, is when I set the lock, there's a few things which I'm going to kind of give. The amount, the direction it's going to go, and the unlock conditions are either going to be an individual, so it means the chain needs to get a signatured payload, which will say unlock, or this is the critical part, it's going to come from a smart contract. So I'm going to say this specific smart contract is the one that can unlock or cancel this, right? Now, I know we said we want to do stable coins without smart contracts, right? But you got to appreciate the value is not in the smart contract. The value is still on the chain. Even if the smart contract gets compromised or anything goes wrong with it, all that's going to happen is the money is going to go in the direction that it was always intended to go, right? It's not going to be stolen. It can't go anywhere else. It can only go in the way it needs to go. So by allowing it to be managed in a smart contract allows us to do as many complex scenarios as we need, right? We can have oracles that are involved in making a decision as to when something gets unlocked or not. We can have multiple signatures, multiple destinations, etc., etc., etc. The power of the smart contract finally being able to use to do something that is actually really secure in forms of payment and not causing vulnerabilities. Right. I'm going to take you through three use cases. Right now, there's lots of use cases. We've been talking about them, but we've agreed I'm going to do just the three. And bear with me here while I go through them. First one is trade finance, right? So, hypothetical scenario: we have company Alpha who wants to buy some goods from a factory Omega. Alpha happens to be in the UK, Omega happens to be in China, right? And we're going to use Beta to do the transportation from one to the other. It's a relatively big order, 500,000 K, and the terms of the payment is the factory would like 30% upfront, so to start the production, and the rest of 70% will be on delivery once Beta actually gets it to the Alpha company. So what happens now, right now, is Alpha will pay 150 and wire it across so that they can start manufacturing. Omega starts the manufacturing process, but Omega needs a bit more kind of a guarantee here that actually Alpha, you're good for the rest of the money, because once I start producing it, I need to have it. So Alpha has to go to somewhere like a bank, lack of a better word, Bank Delta, who will give them a letter of credit and say, yep, they're good for the money. And even if they're not, I'll vouch for it. The letter goes to Omega. Omega goes, okay, I'm happy. I'll start manufacturing. Now, there's obviously a cost involved here to Alpha for getting the letter of credit. The bank runs it as a service more than anything else, right? Everything goes to plan. Beta gets the shipment, delivers it. Once it's delivered, it's now the bank who's going to verify that process and say, yes, the shipment is good before releasing the money and getting the goods to Alpha. So Omega here sits waiting while this is going to happen, right? So there's a delay in payment, considerable amount, right? So just to summarize, extra fees, right? We have the bank's verifying process involved here that slows things down. And obviously there's always delays and fraud that can happen here in the middle that makes things even worse. Bring locks into it, makes things a lot simpler, right? So conditions are the same, the costs are still the same. I still need to get 150 across to Omega as Alpha. But what I'll do to give Omega that confidence and peace of mind is I will lock 500 in my account. And now Omega can see that I'm good for the money. Now the lock can't go anywhere. I can't spend the money. Omega knows it's going to them, but it's still with me, which means during that time, if it's a yield bearing token, I'm actually earning it, right? It hasn't gone anywhere else. So I'm actually getting the interest, which I should do because that's my money. You could say, and look, when I say could do, all these conditions can be programmed, can be agreed beforehand, right? In the other version, it's almost like I need the money before I can start manufacturing. Whereas in this case, you could say, to be honest, once you give the shipment to Beta is when you'll get the first tranche of payment. We'll just, for argument's sake, say it's the 150 you're going to get. Then as the shipment is going through, you could build it in a way that says we're going to use either check-ins at the port or IoT devices. That means the Beta is going to get money as it's going closer and as it's delivering it, or Omega is getting more money released from this lock as it's getting closer to the port. Once it's there, the conditions would be that Beta needs to sign to say it's been delivered. And as soon as that's been done, the money is released and Omega has what it needs and Alpha has the shipment. Much simpler, a lot more transparent, less cost involved because there's no third party that is going to take an extra cost for service, right? And on top of that, you earn the interest while you're holding on to your money. Hopefully that explains it. Next one, not as complicated or bigger values, but nonetheless value to the individuals who are involved here. Pam wants to hire a house from Tom, right? At this moment in time, the rent is $3,000 a month, and Tom demands, which is quite common, a 1 month's worth of deposit upfront. Right now, this is usually for if there's any damage done to the building or anything like that, Tom can then claim from this $3,000. So what happens is Pam gives $3,000 to Tom, and then an additional $3,000 for the first month of rent, and starts renting the house. Everything is great. 6 months passes by, which is what the length of the rent was, and now it's time to exchange. Pam gives the keys back, and Tom goes, "I'll get your deposit back to you in 14 to 30 days once I do all the paperwork and process it through." Right now, Boris is laughing. Not very fair on Pam, right? So she can't actually use that deposit.
More like unnecessary, but this is the world we live in right now.
It also means Pam can't use the $3,000 for a deposit for the new rents that she wants to go and use, right? She's stuck. Also, this whole time, Tom has been earning interest on the $3,000 that he's been holding, just in case, right? Not to mention the fact that if there's disputes here, this process can go on a lot longer than mentioned, right? Let's bring in locks and see how this kind of makes things better. Well, for starters, Pam doesn't have to give Tom the $3,000, right? She just locks it and holds it in her account, which means throughout the whole time, the 6 months that she's there, the interest is on her $3,000, not in Tom. Tom is good because he knows the money is locked and Pam can't spend it and go on a shopping spree, right? So he knows that the deposit is there should he need it. This whole process can be set up in a way that who can cancel, who can draw down, and you can kind of work that out in between Pam and Tom. But let's assume Tom is the one that can cancel and draw down should he need to. At the point where everything is finished and the 6 months is over, Pam has the keys and goes, "Tom, could you just cancel the lock so I can give you the key?" Bang, 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 job done, right? Money's back in Pam's wallet, keys are back with Tom, no more delays, everything's great. Now let's assume there's a dispute as to kind of what happens. Why not? And I'm going off pace here as to kind of what's on the slide here, right? Why not create a whole new thing, a whole new service provider that says, I will vet the room before and after. So I'll go in, do a quick review, take a few photos, whatever it is, and I'm the one who's got the ability to lock and unlock the funds. I have the ability to release the money towards Tom or cancel it so it goes back to Pam. At the end of the rent, I will go in and I'll do a quick survey, and I'm independent. I don't care about Tom or Pam. I'm just doing my job here. And if something is damaged, I will get a verified quote as to how much it's going to cost to fix that. And then I'll release that amount to Tom and the rest back to Pam. Now everyone's happy. Tom gets the house fixed and he can rent it again. Pam gets the deposit back relatively quick.